let me ask you, if you were going to think about the three main take-home messages that you would see as important for clinicians to take away from your article, what would you suggest they are?
Yeah. So I think there's three kind of interleaved key messages. So I think the first message would be what we've just talked about. So rumination can be both a normal response to goals, so we need to normalize it with people when it's that context, but it can also become a mental habit.
A problematic habit.
Yeah. So that's the first message. And then the second two messages follow from the idea of it being a mental habit. So there's a number of things that come from a process being a habit. It's cued, it's automatic, it doesn't take effort and resource, it's hard to control, it's hard to change, it doesn't respond to just telling yourself it's not a good idea. And linked to that, there are two possible ways to change the habit in an effective way. And they are, and that would be the third message. So that would be,
okay,
you can change a habit through stimulus control. You can take away or alter the cues to the habit, or you can effectively try and learn a new habit on top of the old habit and replace the habit. And of course, that requires certain things in terms of identifying the trigger and then repeated practice of an alternative. And that obviously has huge implications for what one might do clinically.
So 3 main messages. One is that rumination can be normal, and sometimes we're going to want to normalize it with our patients. And other times it can be a problematic habit. The second point is that when rumination is a habit, that means that it's cued, it's automatic, it requires no effort, and it's difficult to change. And the third message has to do with the fact that there's 2 ways to change rumination. Using stimulus control methods. One is to remove or change the cues, and another is to train a new habit. So could you say more about both of those?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think in essence, the approach that's particularly helpful for trying to work towards both of those is something that, is already well established in cognitive behavioral interventions, though to different degrees of emphasis, and that's really to do functional analysis. So you sit down with an individual client and you look at when they ruminate and where they ruminate and under what context they ruminate, and then you can start to look at when it does happen and when it doesn't happen, and you can start to map out what might be the antecedents or the triggers to it. And that then gives you the option to think about stimulus control if those antecedents or triggers are amenable to environmental control. So to give you some examples, often people report ruminating in particular places or particular times of the day or a particular part of their daily routine. So 2 obvious examples about are lying in bed in the morning before getting up and lying in bed before getting to sleep, and in fact impairing getting to sleep. And so identifying that and then maybe making a change in someone's routine and what they do at that point could be one way to interrupt that.
So then with the person who's lying in bed ruminating in the morning, we might suggest that they get up instead of doing that. What about lying in bed at night? They could listen to a relaxation or some other kind of audio recording to give a different mental concept. What do you think?
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, I think I would probably start with some pretty similar, as part of stimulus control, we might be doing some sleep hygiene type work. I mean, so the whole idea that they may already have built up an association between getting into bed and their thoughts getting activated. So I think one of the reasons why some of the simple stimulus control mechanisms for sleep might work quite well, for insomnia work quite well. So the idea, if someone's lying in bed and they've not got to sleep within a certain point of time, they get up and go somewhere else and do something until they feel sleepy again. and then go back to bed and repeat until they fall asleep quickly. I mean, that's working on the same principle of interrupting the link between being in bed and being awake, or being in bed and ruminating.
Right.
So that's a simple thing we could do, but we might also build in alternative strategies for that person, like relaxation or focusing their attention on something else as well.